Well, welcome back to the Hotel Orloff here in scenic Rural Retreat, Virginia. Once again, we're coming at you with music and fun. And if you're not careful, you may learn something before it's done. So, today, Thursday, June 22nd, 2023, in the year of our Lord. And today we have a special, incredible unboxing from Gotham City Comics in Mesa, Arizona. So stay tuned. Let's position the camera, ladies and gentlemen, and let's see what kind of stuff we have here, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Tuned in to InfoWars. It's about 9:15 in the morning. Kevin Johnson, the owner and proprietor of the incredible comic book store in Mesa, Arizona, called Gotham City Comics, just mailed this package Monday afternoon is when it was picked up, and it's here Thursday morning. The post office is really, hold on a second. The post office is doing pretty good, ladies and gentlemen. I hate to say it, but I remember a few years ago when the pandemic started. Right when it started, and when did they start locking us down? Around March of that year, 2020, and then my birthday comes along in April, and my wife sends off to mycomicshop.com and buys me all this stuff, filling in holes in my collection of the Monster Times and things like that. And mycomicshop.com, which is Lone Star Comics, we were living in Arlington, Texas, and it was just on the other side of town. I could drive to mycomicshop.com's warehouse in about 3-4 minutes. I mean, just with stoplights is the only thing slowing me down. It was really close. I mean, I could walk to it, really. And so we set it off, and then the package, they mail it, and it goes up to Kansas, and then it goes up to some northern state. Then it starts coming, because I was tracking it. It comes back down towards, and it was just across town. But the post office was doing incredibly weird things. Oh well. Let's open this package. I usually like to open the packages in advance because I don't like opening on the air. I think that's kind of boring. Unless you're like someone like Higgy Pop Comics. He was opening an AOK package with a sword the other day, like a literal sword. I'm just opening it up. I'm just poking the tape with my car keys because I don't like using blades on the. Obviously he's packed this really well, but some people, I've seen people live on the air use an X-Acto blade and cut right through a comic book, and it's just like no. But Gotham City Comics packs the books very professionally. So first I open the box, and then there's always boxes within boxes, which is the professional way of doing it. Okay, first I pull out cardboard, then I pull out packing material, which I really should save. So that means that, this is supposed to get here according to the tracking on Monday, the 26th, but it showed up this morning. So that means that all those DVDs of the Tomb of Terror I sent out yesterday, they said they're supposed to be there on Tuesday. So you might shave off a couple of days. Maybe they'll show up on Saturday. That would be cool. Okay, well, here's the first batch. Let's see what we got. All right. Yeah, I picked up a whole bunch of Brave and the Bold comics. And first, I've got the Brave and the Bold number 83. Is that light enough? I'm going to adjust that light, ladies and gentlemen. This may be too bright, I don't know. We'll see. So how are you guys doing on this delightful Thursday morning? It's a bright, sunshiny day here in Pennsylvania. Ooh, that light might be too bright, man. I don't know. I don't know about that. All right, so that's Brave and the Bold number 83. Yeah, that light's a little better, isn't it? What will this be? Okay, it looks like they're in order. Here's Brave and the Bold number 84. One of the many times that Batman teams up with Sergeant Rock. Okay, so this is a good reading copy. 83, 84, and I'll go put these in with my other Brave and the Bolds. I got to read them first, though. Here's another Batman with Sergeant Rock, number 96. Now, this is the late 60s, so, you know, Sergeant Rock was a hero in World War II, and so 45, it's about 20 years and some change since World War II at this point. So Sergeant Rock could be in his 40s and here. You know, just like Sergeant Fury in the Marvel comics was Sergeant in World War II, and then by 1965, when they start Sergeant Nick Fury and the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you know, he's 20 years later, he's got a little gray at the temples, but he's now a colonel, and he's basically the Man from U.N.C.L.E. It was Marvel's Man from U.N.C.L.E. That was a great comic. You know, if you told me back in the 70s, someday there will be a TV series where Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., will be fighting against the Skrulls. It'll be a TV series, and it'll come on television, and you won't even know that it's on, except you'll see people complaining about that they used AI in the opening credits. And I would have said, you're crazy. I would be anticipating that for the longest time. Nick Fury, are you kidding? But these TV shows and movies that Marvel is now, or that they're now producing, are so alien to me that I don't even acknowledge them as being anywhere related to these comics that I enjoyed as a kid. They were doing good until right after Endgame, or whenever the Captain Marvel movie came out. I mean, they still do good Spider-Man. Well, the Spider-Man, yeah, oh well. It's just a mess. All right, but we still have these great old comics. And we have a great president in office. Joe Biden's just doing so great. I've been told to watch and see, you know, because remember what happened with Nixon? They got rid of Spiro Agnew, his vice president, and then they put in Gerald Ford, who was a member of the Warren Commission and was, you know, in with the deep state. And then they got rid of Nixon, and then Gerald Ford is now president. So watch this. They're gonna get Kamala Harris out and say, well, she was never qualified, blah blah blah. And then they're gonna bring in Gavin Newsom as the replacement. Then they're gonna pull Biden out and say, oh, he's just too senile. He's ending his speeches saying, God save the Queen, man, and he's falling all over the place. So then they'll get rid of Biden, and then all of a sudden Gavin Newsom will be president. And then the press is really pushing for DeSantis to be the guy, not Trump. So they're hoping they're going to have Newsom against DeSantis. But we know that Trump's going to be there and win out. Okay, so this is number 97. Comics were going from 15 cents to 20 cents. It was inevitable. Marvel and DC knew it. So DC, instead of going to 20 cents, they raised it up 10 cents to 25 cents and gave you a thicker comic. But Marvel went up to 25 cents for like a month or two, and then they went to 20 cents. DC tried this a little bit longer, but ultimately they did like Marvel and they went to 20 cents. When Marvel went to 20 cents and when DC went to 20 cents, that's when I consider the Bronze Age starting. That's just my personal belief. You don't have to agree with me, and probably don't. Okay, this one is number 98. Got a chunk gone, but it will be fun to read. Okay. Oh, this one, some little kid has had some fun drawing. It's but I don't have this issue, and it's going to be fun to read. I should open these up, and if I have time at the end, I'll open some of these up. I just want to go through and remind myself what I got here. Okay, now we're officially into the Bronze Age, and in my world, 20 cents. This is pretty much my era, the 20 cent, and the 25 cent era, or probably is the era when I really discovered comics. Of course, the 12 cent, 15 cent era I love that. It's the ultimate, but I wasn't, I started to buy my first comics when they were 15 cents, and I only have a few of those. This one's kind of trashed, but it's Batman and the Wildcat from the Justice Society of America. I think it's important to say Justice League of America and Justice Society of America, because you notice a lot of times now people just say Justice League and Justice Society, and that's the way the movies are doing it, because they're embarrassed about America. Oh, that's embarrassing. Don't be embarrassed about the United States. The United States is a wonderful country. We're just currently we're occupied by bad, evil, really satanic Marxists. If you get it down to it's really satanic people. I mean, you could just see the evil in their faces. This is a 100-page giant, 60 cents. Wow. See, it's got Challengers of the Unknown story, and it's got a Golden Age Justice Society story. Solomon Grundy battles Dr. Fate and Our Man. Great. Anyway. There's this woman I discovered a few weeks ago on YouTube. I think her name is Carolyn Borisenko. Or Carolyn Borisenko, something like that. But anyway, she was this real liberal woman that went to a Donald Trump rally just for laughs, to see, to laugh at them and everything. And they were so nice to her that she converted and to be, to their side. And then apparently she realized, oh, well, really the Republicans are just as bad as the Democrats. They're just equal, at least the real extreme ones. So she decided, hey, I'm not really for either side. But what she's doing now is she's got this anti-socialism channel. And what she's saying is the real agenda is to turn the country into the socialist Marxist utopia in the Democrats' mind. And so she plays all these Zoom meetings and recordings of these liberals talking to each other, and she explains their coded language, and she says they speak a whole different language, and I'll explain it to you because I know how they think, and she's written books, and it's really interesting the way she explains, what they really mean when they say this and that, and it's from an insider. But then I noticed she was. When people start talking about God or Christ in the chat on her live videos, she gets really angry and starts cursing like Damien being dragged into a church in The Omen. And she says, I'm not going to talk anymore until you stop this religious talk in the chat. And she says, we're never going to win against these socialists if you guys keep bringing up God and stuff, because she says, I have 4 copies of the Bible, and I've read that, I'm sure, more than you guys have. And she says we'll never convert them over to our side as long as we're doing all this religion talk. And it gets this like, oh, she might be actually tricking us, because the only way we're going to win is with God on our side. But it's you can just tell how violent she reacts against it, that maybe she's just she's pretending to be on our side and giving us a lot of crumbs and explaining how they work, but also trying to psych us out, saying, they're going to win unless you do it my way. You've got to not bring up God, and I think what she's doing is really, trying to, I don't know. I'm not sure I trust her. I still watch her. She has a live stream on Saturday nights that's very fun, because I like it when people make fun of the other side, but then I am not fully trusting her either. This is 1:30. What a great. See, this is what I call floating heads. UPC code is blocking out. They could have had 2 floating heads here, but instead they have the UPC code. And I've never, in my 58 years, ever seen a comic book scanned. No comic book stores that I know have scanners. Comics aren't sold in grocery stores anymore. They really never were. Back then, well, they used to be in drugstores and in convenience stores, but it seems like by the time they put these UPC codes on the comics, they had stopped selling them in those other places other than just comic stores. They went to direct distribution, which the underground comics started coming out. The late 60s, the hippies started to produce their underground comics, which were very insanely, they were just out of their mind, and they would sell them directly to, not to drugstores. They were sold in head shops and places like that, and record stores, but they would sell them directly. It's like, when you buy it, you own it. Comics and magazines traditionally were you'd buy the comics as the 7-Eleven owner, and the ones that didn't sell, if this one didn't sell, you'd tear off the cover, or you'd just tear off the title here, and you'd mail that back to the distributor or whatever, and they'd give you credit. They'd give you your money back for because it didn't sell. But now the direct distribution means if you order 10 copies of this comic, then you're stuck with 10 copies. If it doesn't sell, you put it in a box in your back room, and maybe you hope that it'll sell in 10 years or something, or maybe eventually in your back issue bin it'll sell, and a lot of times it never sells. Anyway. Oh yes, good. Got Ragman #2. This is a comic I've never read, and I want to read it. So I saw that Kevin had this, and I said, yeah, put that in my pile. It just, man, it looks like he's punching out Wolverine, doesn't it, a little bit? That's great. Yeah, Wonder why this character never took off. Well, probably because people weren't buying it. Because I was a kid back then, and I didn't buy it, so that may be why. I don't know. We only had a limited amount of money. You could only mow so many lawns and wash and wax so many cars. Oh, okay. This is the fake Amazing Spider-Man, and you know, it's 121 reprint, facsimile, whatever you want to call it. I Stan Lee hated that when he heard that they'd killed off Gwen Stacy. I don't think they should have killed off Gwen Stacy. Personally, I don't think so. All it did is they had Spider-Man mooning about Gwen Stacy and all depressed, and it just kind of took away some of the fun of the comic. It was kind of like Archie there for a while. He had two girls after him, and like Betty and Veronica, and I didn't like them killing her off. Beautiful John Romita art just passed away. Was it a week and a half ago now? But sometimes things happen in comics and they're not even, I was talking about Ant-Man, the original Ant-Man, beating his wife in the Avengers, and that happened back in 1981. Apparently it was accidental because the way the script was written, Ant-Man was upset, and it's like, I can't, no matter what I do, I'm never a great Avenger, I tried being Ant-Man, I tried being Giant Man, I tried changing my costume. I'm always this, guy whose comic never sells, and he's flailing his arms around, pissed off, and he accidentally, when he's flailing his arm back, hits his wife and knocks her down or something, or just, it was an accident. But when they sent that off to the artist drew it like he was intentionally hitting her. And so there was no time to redraw the art, so they just went with it, and then Ant-Man is now remembered as this wife beater. And it was all by accident. That wasn't really their intention. It's just they couldn't fix the art in time. Of course, Ant-Man is now a different guy, Scott Lang. So maybe that's why they started a new Ant-Man, because of that. I don't know. Of course, Ant-Man was a character that never really sold. Okay, so I also got Ragman #1. So I got Ragman 1 and 2 here. Okay. Oh, here's some more Brave and the Bold. The colors are very bright on this, but it's a copy that's had a lot of writing on it. Star. They put stars on both sides. It's Tex. Maybe he's like Big Tex from Dallas, and I'm going to put the Lone Star up on either side of my comic, and I'll put Tex here. But it still looks like an incredibly fun comic to read. Batman versus Eclipso. You got your go-go checks, so this will be incredible fun to read. So that's number 64. Okay, now we got some World's Finest comics from the dollar era. DC always tried to experiment with going up. When they had raised the price, let's not raise it a nickel or a dime. Let's raise it 50 cents. I think they were at 50 cents. They said, why don't we just double the price and give them a comic that's as thick as a Golden Age comic and charge $1, and then they didn't sell, and I think they went from $1 back to 60 cents. I could be wrong. This is my memory from 1980, $2.65. I don't pretend to be a comic book scholar because I've got too much other stuff going on in my head to remember all this stuff. That was $2.65. This is $2.48. Like last week, remember I was going through World's Finest and Brave and the Bold, if you watch this show regularly, and that was because I was trying to find out what issues I already have so I don't duplicate issues, because Kevin at Gotham City Comics found a bunch of Brave and the Bold and World's Finest, and I wanted to get ones that I didn't have to fill in holes in my collection. Here's another $2.49, another dollar comic. These are a lot of fun to read. $2.49. My wife always tells me I don't hold the comics up long enough, and I got to remember to do that. Here's $2.44. Neil Adams cover. Neil Adams, another great artist that we lost relatively recently. Okay, we're moving back in time here. Here's $2.40 from the 30-cent era. That would place it somewhere around the time that Star Wars came out, wouldn't it? Like 1977, I'm guessing. It has a UPC code, so that also places it after that time period. $2.40. We go back to $2.32. We're going backwards in time and see UPC code's not there. Amazing. Ooh, now we're getting into the 20-cent era, which is the era. Beautiful cover. I wonder, is that an... I'm not sure who did this cover. It looks like Ernie Chan, but it might be too early to be Ernie Chan. The 20-cent era, I don't think Ernie Chan, also known as Ernie Chua, I don't think he came along until right 1975. Am I right? His artwork started showing up on DC Comics and later at Marvel and Conan. It seems like it was... this is 217, by the way. I can't wait to read that one. Now we're back to the 1960s, to 171, World's Finest. Wouldn't it be weird if one of these comics has the Superman Batman story where they're drugged that I was talking about yesterday? I'm wondering where that happened. My older brother was so upset about that. I was probably learning to walk, and my oldest brother Mike was getting mad at the comics and not wanting to ever read them again because of what they were doing in the comics. This is World's Finest 168. Okay, so looks like we're moving to Super Friends. Here's a Kurt Schaffenberger cover. There were some good artists in these Super Friends comics. Ramona Fradon and Schaffenberger. They tended to get the artists that drew with a more cartoony style to do the Super Friends comics because they were based on a cartoon. And it's like this is a comic book based on a cartoon, which is based on a comic book. So it's like the Justice League of America turned into a cartoon where they altered it and then turned back into a comic book. Of course, when they turn it back into a comic book, Batman can actually hit people, and violence can actually happen. If you remember in the Super Friends, there was never any violence. They always talked out their problems. There was never no one ever got punched in the Super Friends. It was the early 70s, and it was very anti-violence. Because there were all these superhero cartoons in the late 60s. There was a Marvel Superheroes show, and there was all the Hanna-Barbera Space Ghost, Herculoids, all those wonderful Birdman. There were tons of Spider-Man cartoon over on the other network. Everyone, all the kids were having fun, but the parent groups and teacher groups were saying, these cartoons are too violent. And so they cleaned up Saturday morning and took out the violence and made everything kind of preachy. Not as preachy as the stuff is today. And Super Friends, instead of calling them the Justice League, we'll call them the Super Friends because they're friends. And, yeah. Oh my gosh. That's like biblical. Robin's like punching a pig with his head. Man, that's scary. This is called... these are what do you call them? Nephilim. They're called Nephilim in the Bible, but there's another name. Chimeras. I used to call them chimeras because I didn't know how, but I think it's pronounced chimera. half man, half animal. All right. Oh my goodness, number 36. I'll tell you what, there's the Wonder Twins, but the only way you can tell which one is the girl is her hair has got a little bit longer. That's the way they drew him. Yes, amazing. I need to get more of these. This one's Ramona Fradon, who did the Aquaman book back. See, she was the artist of Aquaman back in the 60s and Metamorpho. So they had her, she had a cartoony style, and Schaffenberger, the one I just showed you, he used to draw Lois Lane comics, and they were very more cartoony as well. But I like that cartoony style. Here's another Ramona Fradon cover with, I guess, someone named Smith inking. I'm not sure who the Smith is. I'm sure all of you know. So I've got some Super Friends comics. I didn't realize it went into the 40 and like into it went up to, this issue's number 44, and then I've got 36, 33. I didn't know how it went on that long. This is the Black Orchid. I always thought was a cool looking character, but she never took off. And I have some early, I guess the first appearances of the Black Orchid, but here she is reappearing in the later 70s in the UPC era, about 5-6 years later after the comics where she first appeared. And that one's also a Fradon cover. That's 31. Okay. Here's 21. Oh, that's beautiful. Also a Fradon cover. See how different it looks when a woman draws Wonder Woman. You know what it almost looks like? It almost looks like Wally Wood's art, and that's the ultimate compliment. Ramona Fradon's still around. She's one of the greats that's still around. And I watch interviews with Ramona Fradon and Marie Severin on YouTube. And Marie Severin just loved to draw, and she had so much fun, you know. Ramona Fradon just said, it was kind of hard to draw all those fish. I didn't really like it so much. I had fun on Metamorpho, but most of the comics, it was kind of hard. She married some cartoonist for like the New Yorker, and she hung out at these fancy New York parties, and you know, she didn't really want to bring up, yes, I draw too for comic books. It's like they kind of frowned upon that. Stan Lee mentions that too, that he used to be embarrassed that he was a comic book writer. Whatever. Okay, so we've got another box to open. As I recall, this one's going to have some Conan the Barbarian color comics and some Savage Sword of Conan's that I don't have in my collection. I believe that's what this is. Okay. So how are you guys doing this wonderful Thursday? Well, I promised I was going to show some particular books today, but I'll have to, maybe I'll do that later. I haven't even had breakfast, man. It's almost 10 in the morning. 10 o'clock. Well, if I had an X-Acto blade, it would help right now, honestly. But I'd also probably, I'm so clumsy, I'd probably wind up cutting my tips of my finger off on TV. But that would be spectacular. Has anyone ever, I should get a bottle of ketchup one day and stage it like I've injured myself on YouTube. That would be hilarious. I've got all kinds of hilarious ideas. Okay. The next box is now open. All right, all right, all right. Let's see what we got. Oh, cool. Look at this. Beautiful, beautiful. Look at that. Wow. Die Spectre again and again and again. What a beautiful cover. Spectre number 2. Oh my gosh. I just got a thank you at the it popped up on my phone. Because yesterday I was talking about a YouTube show, and I was calling it Comic Book Heaven, and one of the viewers was saying, hey, could you give me a link to Comic Book Heaven? And I realized, oh, it's not called Comic Book Heaven. That's why you can't find it. It's called Comic Book Palace. So yeah, it's called Comic Book Palace. Look that up and you'll find it right away. Oh, wow. Rip Hunter, Time Master. Oh, I love these books. Mystery in Space and Rip Hunter from this time period. This is Rip Hunter number 25. Oh, wow. Okay, Uncle Scrooge. I was just looking at these books yesterday. We were looking at horror books. Here's Fear number 1. I'll open this later, like in another show. Fear number 1. I think we were just looking at that yesterday, the day before. Okay, here's more Brave and the Bold. 160. $156. 167. I thought this cover is really cool. These bombers coming down. That's so great. 181. Okay. Yeah, this one's not in the best shape, but it's one I didn't have. Adventure Comics 330. Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes is one of the great comics. Okay. Superman Family 172. Technically, it's not Superman Family. It's Lois Lane. The Lois Lane comic became Lois Lane Presents the Superman Family. That's why it's number 172. There were not 170-something issues of Superman Family, but this was a great book in the mid-70s because it reprinted older stories, and that's how you got to see these wonderful stories of Super Baby and all this stuff from that great Mort Wessinger era of DC that some people hate, but I adore. Don't just love, I adore it. Hulk is these are Swamp Women. I haven't ever read this issue. They look like they would be voting for, these definitely look like the type women that would say, I love Joe Biden. I'm so glad I voted for Joe Biden. And Hulk is obviously a Trump supporter, and so is Valkyrie, and they're just horrified by the appearance of these liberal Democrats. I lost a subscriber yesterday. I have a feeling it was Biden support. Defenders 27. Whenever I lose a subscriber, it's usually right after I put up a video and I realized, oh, I said something, I offended somebody. Que lastima, que sera, sera. Oh, speaking of, there's all this wonderful serendipity. It's you think it's planned, but it isn't because I just opened this box. Trump's Space Force. This is not apparently a comic that makes fun of Trump. It's a pro-Trump comic, so. Ah, that's great, man. I can't wait. I wonder what the art's like inside. We'll check it out later. We'll look at all these books in another episode. I want to chronicle everything that I got here in this episode. Oh, good. Yeah, I forgot. I got this Captain America number 124. Okay, Superman family. I'm getting confused. Yeah, I think this was here they dropped the Lois Lane thing altogether, and it's just Superman Family 174. But I'm pretty sure this is counted in the Lois Lane. Although I don't file it with Lois Lane, I file this with Superman. I just file it right behind my Superman comics. I put Superman Family there. This has a spine roll that hopefully will flatten out. Oh, I bought this. Man, I'm embarrassed about this. I bought this even though damn, $6.99. It's Power Girl Special #1. And I'm sure the artwork inside looks like it was drawn in crayon by a 4-year-old or somebody on their little computer PC, you know. The cover, though, is, I think, a great piece of pin-up art. But anyway, this is, I bought this, and I know it's going to be terrible inside. It always is. Last time, but it just. So I'm one of those people that bought something for its cover. So I need to stop making fun of those people, right? Here's Metal Men number 24. Ouch. Most of this I traded copies of the TV show that I make. I make this show. It's a 2-hour-long show called Tomb of Terror, and I had episodes 17 through 32 episodes of Tomb of Terror DVDs, and each one's 2 hours long. So that's many hours of entertainment. And so Kevin is the only person other than me on the planet Earth that has the complete run of every episode of Tomb of Terror. He has duplicates of the first 16 episodes if you want to get one from him at his store in Mesa, Arizona. Or you could order them from me. In quantity, I'll sell them to you $16 post-paid. In smaller quantities, they're $20 post-paid. And by the way, if you're watching this show, I don't have many friends. My friends are pretty much who I know on the internet, you know. And if you comment all the time under my videos or interact with me, you're a friend of mine. So therefore, you know, when you pay with PayPal, you can put down friends and family because you're like a friend and a family member to me, and that's legitimate. There's some other ways you can pay. My wife was telling me we have some other. I don't know remember what they're called. I'll ask her about that if you don't like PayPal. But whatever. This is another one I bought for the cover because the interior art is terrible. And I think the Frazetta sisters have suspended this project of doing these Frazetta comics based on their father's art on the cover and then these inferior artists doing the art inside. This painting was done for a Mothman book. I have that book somewhere here But I just love that art. So here's an issue of Excellent. I love Mike Allred, and I haven't been able to get this comic, and that's what that is. This is an issue of Cerebus. I'm not even going to show that on camera. It's a parody of the it's a parody of the first appearance of Supergirl, where she's coming out of the but it's not appropriate for YouTube. Here's Defenders number 6. Another Brave and the Bold, 145, Batman and the Phantom Stranger. Okay, I've been trying to build up a run of Junkyard Joe. Oh, these are all packaged together. These are books that, okay. And he got in an issue of the first issue of Junkyard Joe. I've just heard a lot of good things about it, and I want to try this out. Junkyard Joe. This is some special black and white veterans edition. I guess I'll read those. Apparently that's the new phenomena, is Junkyard Joe. Here's some books that were not, that he had just gotten in. Here's Wanted number 7. I was just showing you Wanted recently, and I was thinking I was missing some issues, and it's like he just happened to be going through and found, I think, those same issues I was missing. These are reprints from the golden age of the Justice Society of America. There's Hawkman. This is a great book. This was how you would get golden age books if you were a kid in the early 70s. There's Johnny Quick. There was no other way. Wanted was published for a while. Like I was telling you, DC and Marvel were both trying to outproduce the other side in the 70s and make more comics and flood the market and overwhelm their competitor. And well, this is a Silver Age story they reprinted, but they did reprint a lot of Golden Age in this comic, Wanted. But it only lasted, what, about 8 issues, 9 issues? Here's the 20-cent Captain America 170, but it's one I didn't have. Is it in great shape? No. But is it having it in kind of good minus is much better than having it in not having it at all. Someone has some slogan on YouTube. It's like low grade is better than no grade, I think is the slogan. Here's Iron Man 32, which is Silver Age, and here's an ad. Oh, I got to show you this. It's an ad for Conan the Barbarian number 2. And speaking of Conan, the next books in here are going to be Conan, I'm pretty sure. Because, yes, in fact they are. Here's look at this. Snoopy for president. There's an ad for Gotham City Comics. New issue of Alter Ego. Get these into order here. Okay, so here's Savage Sword of Conan number 2. Number 27. Number 50. 55. 77. Number 84. Number 85. Okay. In order to get these books upstairs, I think I'm going to put them back into the box here. Okay, yeah, let's head upstairs. Wonder what she's barking at. Let's see. How do I do this, man? Oh, I see. I'll put the camera down on top of the box. Like so. Okay. I think there was some color Conan the Barbarian comics that I had pulled that didn't get put in. But did I already get those? I was like starting to become senile. Not sure. I remember going through the Conan books, and we pulled a few that I didn't have. They probably got misplaced. Let's see. I'll go down and get the rest of these, and then we'll start putting them in their proper place. Well, it may be that I waited too long for breakfast. Maybe I need to get lunch.